More now on Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's crackdown at the Pentagon. The Washington Post reports that, quote, thousands of uniformed and civilian officials would be required to sign non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, and take lie detector tests as Hegseth takes aim at leaks of classified information. It comes just a day after Mr. Hegseth gathered U.S. generals in Virginia to outline his visions for a cultural shift at the Pentagon and a greater, quote, warrior ethos. So let's speak about that with my guest now, Rear Admiral Mike Smith, retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral. Very good to have you on with us. Thanks for joining us. What do you make, first of all, of this news that the Pentagon will be administering lie detector tests and asking people to sign these non-disclosure agreements?
You know, I just think it's totally unnecessary. It's another step to politicizing our military and sending a signal to the American people that somehow our senior military leaders can't be trusted. And that's just absolutely not true.
So according to the Washington Post reporting, the memo that went out said, in terms of signing these non-disclosure agreements, the protection of sensitive information is paramount to our national security, the safety of our warfighters, and the preservation of critical decision space for our senior leaders. Is this indeed a real security risk to have these leaks?
Oh, absolutely. This is a problem every administration, Democratic or Republican, has had for ages. But the people who are most impacted by those leaks are those very senior leaders. They're the ones putting together the plans. They're the ones that are responsible for executing it. They're the last ones that want to leak what's going on inside the Pentagon. So, I mean, they're just directing it at the wrong people and, again, sending the wrong message.
So how should they then crack down on some of these leaks?
You know, I think that they have to continue with their efforts to educate the staff, and they just have to be diligent in trying to piece together what is going on and to control the information so that you're giving it to responsible people on your staff that you know you can trust.
I also want to ask you, Admiral, about that meeting that we saw the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, hold, also President Trump, with generals talking about cultural shifts and a warrior ethos. He talked about physical appearance. What did you make of that address?
You know, well, first of all, everybody in that auditorium wants a lethal military. They all wake up every day knowing it's their responsibility to, if called upon, to go to war. So their job is to impart a warrior ethos to everyone who works for them. So to bring all of these leaders for the first time together and just to air political grievances, it was just a waste of time and a missed opportunity where they could have had real discussions about threats to our nation, and the secretary could have heard from his leaders. They all know his political grievances. Many had probably read his book. There was nothing new there. It could have been handled through a Zoom.
What about what the president had to say? He talked about a war within. He talked about using American cities as a training ground for the U.S. military. How do you think generals in that room would see that?
You know, it's just absolutely shocking I'm sure, to those who are assembled to think that we would use an American city to train our military on how to approach civil disobedience. They're not trained on that to begin with, but you go to training and you have training grounds so that you can learn from your mistakes. Using a city and the American people where you will experience your mistakes is abhorrent. It's just going to end up totally undermining the civilian and the public's trust in the military. You don't train in an operational environment.
Okay, Admiral, we'll leave it there for today, but thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you on.
No, thank you for having me.